NATO may soon face one of its biggest tests as an alliance, with new U.S. intelligence assessments sounding warnings about Russia. U.S. intelligence reportedly sees a window beginning as early as autumn 2026 in which Putin could attempt a limited move against a NATO country. The latest U.S. intelligence warning has raised alarm across Europe over fears that Russia may test NATO's borders. Intelligence scenarios reportedly include a major cyber attack, sabotage, unmarked armed groups, or even a small-scale land incursion, all designed to test NATO's resolve. The warning also raises questions over whether the United States can sustain Europe's defense needs while rebuilding critical weapons stocks after heavy expenditure in Iran war. Amid already tense relations between Moscow and NATO, fresh U.S. intelligence reports have alarmed Western capitals by suggesting Russia could attempt a carefully limited challenge to the alliance in the coming years. According to reporting on the assessments, Russian President Vladimir Putin could try to test NATO's collective defense resolve through a limited assault on an allied country rather than a broad conventional invasion. The intelligence assessments reportedly place the potential risk window between autumn 2026 and 2029, with the prospect of a limited incursion said to increase as time passes. Potential scenarios reportedly range from a large cyber attack and covert sabotage campaign to the seizure of a small area of NATO territory by unmarked forces or a limited land incursion. While a limited Russian land incursion is currently assessed as the least likely scenario, officials reportedly believe the danger could rise over time as Moscow rebuilds forces and adapts from the Ukraine war. A clear armed attack against a NATO member could trigger Article 5, under which allies commit to assist the attacked state with measures they individually deem necessary for collective defense. But a cyber attack, sabotage operation, or covert hybrid assault would present a more difficult test, because NATO must first determine attribution, scale, and whether the incident meets the threshold for collective action. Earlier U.S. assessments reportedly held that Putin was unlikely to deliberately provoke a NATO member, while Russia remained heavily focused on sustaining its war in Ukraine. The reported 2026 reassessment reflects fears that a more pressured or emboldened Putin could take greater risks, particularly if he believes NATO may hesitate over a limited or ambiguous attack. The apparent Russian objective would not necessarily be to defeat NATO militarily, but to fracture alliance unity by forcing members to argue over whether and how Washington should respond. An American research fellow said, and I quote, "The question mark is how the United States would respond in that case. It has always been a goal of Russia's to challenge the credibility of NATO and to separate the United States from its allies. This has always been NATO's challenge, to respond to a sub-Article 5 attack, and it's been very true that to this point, NATO allies have preferred not to escalate." End quote. The Pentagon and NATO's European headquarters reportedly declined to discuss the sensitive intelligence assessments publicly, reflecting the classified nature of the potential scenarios under review. A NATO spokesperson said the alliance remains ready to deter aggression and defend its members as necessary, seeking to reassure allies that its collective defense commitments remain credible. The intelligence warning comes as Russia continues investing in new forces, weapons production and military readiness, intensifying concerns about its ability to threaten NATO after the Ukraine war. Russia's Su-34 fighter bomber is drawing renewed attention after reports claimed it could be integrated with a long-range Kh-101 cruise missile. The reported combination could blur the traditional distinction between tactical strike fighters and strategic bomber aircraft in Russia's arsenal. Reports said the Kh-101's reported 5,500-kilometer range could allow Su-34 aircraft to launch deep strikes without entering NATO-controlled airspace. Twin-seat multi-role fighter bomber developed from the Su-27 flanker airframe for long-range strike operations. Reported combat radius of around 1,100 kilometers, while carrying a standard precision strike payload. Ferry range can reportedly reach up to 8,000 kilometers with external fuel tanks and reduced combat load. Compatible with glide bombs, cruise missiles and a wide range of precision-guided weapons for standoff attacks. Air-launched long-range cruise missile developed for precision deep strike missions against strategic targets. Reported strike range of up to 5,500 kilometers, enabling attacks far beyond the launch aircraft's combat radius. uses a low observable terrain following flight profile designed to reduce radar detection and improve survivability. Reportedly available in both conventional and nuclear-capable variants, giving it strategic and tactical strike roles. Analysts said the standoff pairing could complicate NATO's defense planning by expanding Russia's ability to launch long-range attacks from safer distances. The Su-34 has already been used extensively in Ukraine to deliver glide bombs and long-range precision missiles against targets behind the front line. Air-launched long-range cruise missile designed for deep penetration precision strikes against strategic land targets. Reported range of up to 5,500 kilometers, allowing launch aircraft to engage targets from well outside hostile airspace. Low observable terrain following flight profile helps reduce radar detection and improve survivability against air defenses. Reported conventional and nuclear-capable variants provide flexibility for both strategic deterrence and long-range strike missions. Russia is also expanding Su-34 production while incorporating combat lessons learned during the war in Ukraine into newer aircraft. The reported development has raised questions over whether Moscow is reshaping its long-range airstrike doctrine for future conflicts. Defense analysts said the platform could significantly expand Russia's ability to conduct standoff precision strikes against targets across Europe. A modernized Russian T-80B VM tank was reportedly spotted on a railway flat car in July 2026. With images circulating on social media showing the armored vehicle being transported by rail. The social media images appear to show the tank heading toward an undisclosed destination, although the available photographs do not reveal where the vehicle was departing from or where it was ultimately bound. The image alone does not confirm the tank's destination or identify the military unit expected to receive it, leaving its deployment location and operational role unverified. According to reports, the vehicle features a redesigned anti-drone cage mounted above the turret, reflecting continued efforts to improve protection against evolving battlefield threats. Russian and Ukrainian troops have nicknamed this type of cage design the Mongol or barbecue grill, a term that has become widely associated with improvised and modified anti-drone armor. The cage is designed to detonate first-person view, or FPV, drone warheads before they can strike the tank's comparatively vulnerable top armor, reducing the effectiveness of such attacks. The tank also appears to feature an upgraded explosive reactive armor layout, with additional protective elements visible across key sections of the vehicle. The explosive reactive armor is intended to disrupt incoming anti-tank rounds before impact, improving the tank's survivability against missiles and other armor-penetrating weapons. Russia's T-80B VM is a modernized version of the Soviet-era T-80B-V main battle tank, featuring upgraded systems and improved battlefield capabilities designed to meet the demands of modern armored warfare. The tank entered service after being unveiled during the 2017 Zapad military exercises, where Russia showcased several updated platforms as part of its military modernization efforts. The T-80B VM uses a gas turbine engine that provides high mobility across varied terrain, allowing the tank to operate effectively in challenging environments and rapidly maneuver on the battlefield. Its standard protection package includes relict explosive reactive armor, which is designed to improve survivability by reducing the effectiveness of incoming anti-tank projectiles and missile threats. Rostec delivered new batches of upgraded T-90M, T-80B VM, and T-72B3M tanks in May 2026, as part of Russia's ongoing efforts to modernize its armored fleet amid changing battlefield conditions. Meanwhile, concerns over depleted U.S. stocks after months of conflict with Iran are adding urgency to the debate over whether Washington can support Ukraine, defend the Middle East, and deter Russia in Europe simultaneously. The U.S. military used nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptor stockpile during the Iran conflict, according to a CNN report. Reports also say the United States has expended roughly half of its Patriot missile inventory since the conflict with Iran began. Senior U.S. military commanders are reportedly warning that stockpiles of several key precision munitions have reached dangerously low levels. The THAAD air defense system plays a critical role in intercepting ballistic missiles at high altitudes and protecting strategic military assets. Patriot air defense systems have also been used extensively to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone attacks throughout the conflict. CNN reported that the U.S. Army has consumed virtually all of its available long-range precision strike missiles during recent operations. Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, were among the precision weapons reportedly depleted after months of sustained combat operations. The report also said the Army's newer precision strike missiles, or PRSMs, were heavily consumed during recent military operations. U.S. stockpiles of Tomahawk cruise missiles have also reportedly declined significantly following months of intensive military operations. The Center for Strategic and International Studies estimated the United States possessed approximately 452 THAAD interceptors before the conflict began. CIS also estimated that the United States had roughly 2,200 modern Patriot interceptor missiles before the outbreak of the war. The shrinking missile inventories have raised concerns about America's readiness for potential high-intensity conflict in the Indo-Pacific region. Several Gulf allies have reportedly warned that lower U.S. missile stockpiles could weaken regional defenses against future missile and drone threats. A number of America's regional partners rely heavily on THAAD and Patriot air defense systems to protect critical energy infrastructure. CNN reported that concerns over munitions shortages were discussed before President Trump decided to halt planned military strikes against Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly received the initial authorization before the planned operation was later placed on hold. On August 4, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth publicly rejected CNN's report and denied claims that the U.S. military is facing a critical weapons shortage. A new report claimed the U.S. has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during the war with Iran, raising fresh concerns over America's military stockpiles. The depleted inventory reportedly includes Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, along with newer precision strike missiles, according to the Times of Israel. Sources told the report that the prolonged 5-month conflict had sharply reduced U.S. inventories of key long-range precision-guided weapons. The report said the declining missile stockpile has raised concerns about America's readiness to respond to any future large-scale military conflict. Analysts warned that shrinking inventories could weaken U.S. deterrence against major adversaries such as Russia and China if another crisis emerged.